Hey everyone! So I realized that I've been motion capturing for over a year now, and I've never made a video on how to actually get animation files into Source Filmmaker. It's actually a super easy process, and I'm going to show you how to do it today. Today I have a motion capture file I'm going to import into Source Filmmaker. It's one of the characters in my Halo Reach series is very weak and wounded, and he's kind of crawling here. This motion capture suit is just mind-blowingly good. But this works with any other motion capture file you have, really. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks. And hopefully, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do and how to do it. And with motion capture into Source Filmmaker. It's actually incredibly easy. And you're going to need a few things. You're going to need Blender, and then you're also going to need Auto Rig Pro. That's a Blender plugin, and it's only $40. Blender's free. So yeah, I don't even know really where to begin on this. Actually, there's now I'm thinking about it, there is quite a few steps, but for me at this point it's pretty easy. So however you get your motion capture file, either through Animation Prep Studio or you have Rococo, whatever it is, you're going to need to export it as a .fpx or .bvh, right? So once you have that, you want to make sure you also get the source tools, and I'll link that down below. But you want to be able to do it. Now, I'm going to be using this on Blender. This tutorial is going to be over Blender 2.79, and on Blender's website, you can actually download a specific version. Blender 2.8 is just way too complicated for me, and I never cared to learn it because I never needed to. But yeah, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab a model that you want to use. So for me, it's going to be a Spartan model. So actually the very first step is grabbing the model and importing it to Source Filmmaker. And this is, don't touch the model. Once you import it, all you got to do is right click on the model, go to export, and then export that animation, right? So once you do that, you just want to name it, whatever. And once you've installed the Blender tools and the Auto Rig Pro, which I'll show you guys very quickly. It's this is how it looks. And once you install that, what I like to do on a fresh save is just to delete that cube. So the very first thing we're going to want to do is import that .dmx file. So what we need to do is go to wherever we saved that model, right? And for me, I'm going to be using, let's do the Halo 3, what I call the Halo 3 anniversary one. Well, actually, maybe something that we can all do together. Well, yeah, that one's actually pretty same. So what we get in the beginning is, by the way, my screen looks a little bit different. I colored everything, so your screen, your Blender's going to look a little bit different than this. But you're going to get a rig that is on its side. And so what you want to do right off the bat is just press R and then press Y, X, or Z to rotate it. For me, it's X. And then I'm going to type in just 90, or no, -90, and then hit enter. So what we did was we just rotated this guy up. And you see right here on the top of the transform tab, you can open or close that with in as in no, yes or no. And you'll see 90 degrees and then -0. You want all this to be 0, 0, 0, but you need to rotate it up. How do you fix this? Well, you just press simply Control A and then press apply rotation. And then for good measure, I like to just press A for everything. Okay. So now we have our rig standing up that we just got from Source Filmmaker. Now, if you, on the off chance, unfortunately have a rig that has bones that are protruding in really weird ways like this, you might have to do an extra step that took me forever to learn through the help of the Auto Rig Pro creator, Artel. Of course, he helped me, but also I realized this really neat trick the other day. So if you want to fix a model, what you want to do is just export this immediately. Just make sure you select it, right? You can press Control A, just select only this. Well, actually, see, I pressed A and I selected the light there. So just right click on the model here. And then just go to Export and export that as a .fpx. All right, so we're going to save that as just Spartanth anniversary, what do you call it, FBX file. Okay. So now that we've done that, I'm just going to create a new file real quick and then import that FBX that we just exported. And then over here on the bottom left, all of this is good. Don't touch anything. You go to automatic bone orientation. And so what that's going to do, just going to delete that cube again. It annoys me. Well, you'll see right off the bat the bones look different, but really they're not different. What it does is it gets rid of this weird bone view that makes things look really weird and jarring. This could also screw up your model. Like, I don't think it's really meant for the one I'm using, but for like the hunter model that I use for my my lone wolf for Lost Spartans demo, I had to do that with the hunter. And yeah, so, but anyway, just going back real quick, let's just go ahead and, that's only if like you're having trouble with, you know, importing other stuff. But anyway, so let's go back to importing that .dmx file, which is gonna have, let's just get, yeah, Spartan 3, okay, import that .dmx file. So just again, right click, R, and then for me it's -90, enter. All right, so what's next? We need to import that animation file, all right? Now, you can use a .fbx. I don't like .fbx. I don't know if it's just my version of Blender or my computer or just Blender itself, but it doesn't really like FBX files. So if you can, for this demo, I'm going to be showing .dvh. If you have questions or need help, let me know. But I'm going to import an animation file, and I already have quite a few here, though, but I'm going to do a really simple one, something that's really small. So animation files that get over like 10 or 20 megabytes start taking quite some time to render in this. And let's see if I can just grab something real quick. Recordings test. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get my character Sam dodging. So very important, when you import the .bvh, very bottom here, everything's normal, default, don't touch anything except for scale FPS. What this does is it basically makes it the same speed that you had recorded it at. If you don't do that, then it's going to be super slow-mo, which I guess theoretically you can fix in Source Filmmaker, but you just don't want to do that. So just scale FPS. And I think there's actually a scaling option right here for that, but we won't mess with that. So I'm going to import that, and now we're going to get the new animation file. And if we just scroll through the timeline down here, we'll immediately see our animation file moving around and stuff. That's working fine. Now, if you have an option, if you have a problem importing, check your animation files. You might need to re-record it and just experiment and troubleshoot. But if you press in, you'll open up this tab. You want to scroll all the way down to the bottom. I have Auto Rig Pro Remap right here. And our source armature is always going to be our motion capture file or the file that we've downloaded offline. So we want to select that with the eyedropper if this is selected. And then, yes, we got Woof, Sam dodging, block A, or take one. And then we want to click on our original rig and click this. And then we want to hit auto scale. And then very important here is we want to make sure they're the same size, as close as possible. Because if you don't do that, we're gonna get some sliding. And believe it or not, I just figured out about this like 2 days ago, and I've been doing this stuff for over a year now, and I just figured out why some of my animation models have like this slipperiness to it. You'll see right here in Source Filmmaker, there's a slight slide. Do you see that? There's a slight slide. And the reason why we get that is because this is thinking that this is like the same parameters as each other. So we need to make sure they're the same size. Got it. All right. Build bones. Hit the build bones list. And this is when we get into the real important part. So right off the bat, you want to make sure you always hit set as root. What that is it's like where the model is going to be moving. That's basically the locomotion, if you will. So let's actually go back real quick and just make sure that this is the right size, and we'll do that with, oh, what button is that actually? I think it's, I'm not too keen on this. Okay, it's S. All right, S for scale. What we can do, I don't think we'll want to move it, but what we can do is move it back to the first point. If you can, make sure that your animation can have a 0 overwrite T pose. All right. So let's go back to the 0 or very best frame that we can use, and just press S and just scale it up. What I think I might start doing is just trying to look at the pelvis bone and looking at this, making sure that they align where the shoulders come in together. That should be good. So all is good now. What we want to do is go down here to object mode and change it to pose mode. What this does is it allows us to look at the bones, and how we can't see what each bone is actually going by right here, the bone tool on the right side here, and selecting a bone. So I have a little problem. These rigs are like really too close together, and I can't really tell what's going on. So I'm actually just gonna move it down just a little bit like that, or even what I could do is just scroll through the animation. And yeah, if this is all black for you, press S right here and then press E to the end of the yellow spot, or whatever color this is for you. That doesn't really matter when we're exporting it. It'll just export the animation even if you're ending the timeline right here or over here. It doesn't matter. So I just moved it down for now. We'll fix that later. But where is the hips? All right, so we need to start changing the source bones, which is these right here, to the target armature. So we need to figure out which here, let's go back to pose mode. So if you're a little bit confused about how to do this here, just look at source. All right, so that means that the source, the motion capture file up here, is already being loaded in. Now we just need to tell the remapper where is the hips on this, on our rig, the Halo one, right? So how we do that is we're just going to select right here. If we can just go back to pose mode, actually. You might have to go back into pose mode if you select on a new rig, right? So we see valve biped bip 01 pelvis. All right, so we just copy that, paste it. Chest, that must be the lowest chest. And then valve bipe 0 spine 1. Now, if there's not enough bones, which is some rigs, you'll have to just kind of guess with it. Always make sure that the last, like spine 4 or chest 4, whatever it is the one being tagged up here. So you'll just want to like look at each skeleton and see what makes most sense. But this one is always like the last chest bone or whatever is always going to be the one that tags to the shoulders here on the other rig too. So obviously it's just common sense, right? So left collar, where would be the left collar here? Oh, actually, sorry, I'm selecting the wrong rig. Yeah, you make sure you don't want to do that. They'll usually always have different names. So if you start getting the same names, you're probably selecting the same rig, which is the wrong one. But clavicle is a common word used as shoulder plate. So I think anyway, but that's actually the wrong one. We want to move that to this one. So we do L upper arm to left shoulder, left elbow to this one, right? And left hand, and then just like the same thing here. That's the hip. That's not right. We want to go to right collar, and then we want to go to right shoulder, and then we want to go to right elbow, and then we want to go to right wrist. Just keep copying and pasting. Very straightforward. And then we want to get down to the leg here. The calf is usually referred to as the knee. And I've done about 10 of these, you know, for the Flood, for different types of Spartans, for Reach Spartans, and even Cortana. It's all very straightforward once you kind of get the rhythm of it. But I remember when I first did this, I was very intimidated and really was very nervous. I was doing everything wrong, and I had a lot of issues. So I'm probably going to make more videos just kind of going over this, because I think I have already skipped over like a bunch of things, and hopefully you guys are still following along, because I know at some points I haven't even been able to get to this point. But yeah, set as root. So now we have a mapping preset that we need to save. So now that we have all these things linked together, we need to make sure that that we save this. So we don't want to lose all of our stuff. So I'm just gonna say this is Spartan 3A tutorial, and we'll just accept that. And then we'll just make sure we hit export. Think of that as a save button. And then you can also import it. But now we want to do the one of the final stages of all this is hitting redefine rest pose. So now, what the heck's going on? We see our rig, the Spartan rig, not the motion capture file, flip on its side. This will happen time to time. Again, you just want to hit R for rotate, and then just circle through X, Y, or let's see, Z, X, or Y. One of these will give you a line, right? For me, for you, it's probably going to be X as well. But we want to just type in 90 or negative 90 and then hit enter. Make sure it's very, specific. And then apply location, apply rotation, apply. I just do all this for good measure, although I don't think it's necessary. And then we're going to go back to our guy here. We're going to go to object mode. We're going to flip it. I'm going to press rotate Z and then press 90 and then hit enter. So now they need to be facing the same way when you hit redefine rest pose. So now this guy's going to fall down here. That's fine. But now we need to make sure that this remapper knows that these are in the same location as far as like their own parameters. So obviously this is not correct. What you can do here in a few times is there's a different few situations that you'll run into depending on the rig you're using, and I don't know all the answers to it, and I still have trouble from time to time. But if you've done all this right, you made sure that you got all these things right, which if you didn't, it's fine. You can always go back and change it. But you'll want to hit copy selected target bones, and you'll see that his arm will flip backwards. And for some rigs, I don't really know even at this point why it does that. But you're going to have to manually change the bones for this guy. So he is sitting in the same position as this. Actually, I do know why it does that. It's because if we tap on this mod here, so this is a little educational part, which is when I told you guys how to .fbx export, that was actually addressing this issue. So this issue is very annoying, but it's got a fix to it. Obviously, I showed you guys already, but if you hit this part right here, you don't have to do this. I'm just showing you what was causing the issue. Actually, you might have to do this. I'm sorry, I'm not great at giving tutorials, but if you go to object mode and hit this guy and then press tab, you'll go into edit mode. That's like a shortcut, but you can also just go to edit mode down here. You zoom in, you see how his bone is shooting back like this? So this is, I don't know why or who did this. I think that's just how Source exports things sometimes. But people have told me this doesn't matter. It does. What you want to do is click on the end that is not the one that you think you would need to go to. So you want to click on the end that's sticking out like this, right? Click on this end, and then what you're going to have to do, which is very unfortunate, is just press R, rotate, and then start figuring out how to get this guy pointing his arms the same way. Now, if you do this, you will probably have it imported into Source Engine all messed up. Like their bones will be like whack. That's why I really recommend just clicking on this guy, going to export, and making sure that you hit that automatic bone orientation. And then but since this model is actually really easy, you might not even have to do that. All right, so I'm going to show you this rig. This rest pose is actually really convenient. Now, I haven't tried this before too. This is another workaround before I'm showing you the way that how easy it is for me. Is I'm actually not showing you the right model I'm using. This is the one I'm using. So we're working with this rig right now. So what you could do if you really wanted to, you could probably put him in T-pose like this and then export him like that. So if you're having this issue, then that's one workaround you could probably do. I haven't tried that before, but in theory, I think it should work just fine. But anyway, I'm going to show you like how we actually go through with this, and it's super simple, which is just press rotate, and then once again X, and then we're going to type in -45, and then we're going to hit on this arm. By the way, we're right clicking, making sure the redefine thing's open, and then press rotate or R, X, and then hit 45, not -45. And see, the convenient thing about this rig here, this rest pose already, is that it's already, his arms are already flat like this. So we don't need to worry about rotating it like that, because that's when it starts getting real funky and inaccurate when you start transferring it over. So now that I already know that this works for this rig. So I'm just going to hit apply. Oh, look, it's already done. Okay. So our guy's laying down on the ground. I don't think that'll be a problem. Just don't click anything. Just roll up right up to here above the remapper and hit retarget. And then we're just going to go do something else. Not worry about anything. Don't touch Blender. You can touch it to like go into it real quick. What I like to do is just put my mouse over it, see if it's loading. Let's just check in real quick. All right, there we go. If we did everything correctly, and hopefully you don't have like a weird rigged model, my bad, then you're gonna get this. I'm gonna hide the animation data up here. So this is now exactly what we animated here. Now connected to our rig, and it's working so fine. Now Blender does have a remapper already. Copy location, copy rotation, or rather copy transforms. This does not work, all right? They need to fix this. Maybe they fixed it in 2.8. But if you have $40, or even actually it's $20 for the normal edition, not the pro version, I would recommend support. But basically, all of my animations are thanks to the guy that created this, because otherwise, well, I suck at animation. I need motion capture, I think. So what you want to do now is actually not export it or anything. Although I guess you could do that, but I've never done it that way. I guess you could go up here and export as a DMX, but yeah, I guess you could do it that way. But what I do is I go to this little spot here, the scene tab, on the properties window, and I make sure I select the right source engine exportable right here. So it would be our rig, and just name this demonstration. Oh my god, my spelling's demo. I'll just name it demo. I like to click on another one and then click back. And then just specify the export path and export it. That's all you got to do. And as you'll see, it's really simple. All you got to do is right click, go to source, right click, import animation. And then if we did everything correctly on this window, some things might be red, but most of it should be green, especially the bones that you oriented, right? So we're just gonna click on this, hold shift, bring that model to us very easily, and it'll be sideways. It's a very easy fix. What I started doing when I did motion capture in the beginning was really dumb. Was I would try to rotate it just right on the ground, but then my model would start flying up slowly, sinking in the ground, flying up. You don't have to do it this way, okay? Just go here and type in -90. And how we do that is, just click on the model, scrolling all the way down to retransform. Sometimes it'll just glitch and give you a almost 90, but that works because that's essentially 90. And yeah, there you go. I mean, you can do this with practically any motion capture file. You don't need a motion capture solution to do this for your models. So if you find something like on Adobe Mixamo, which are just tons of free animation files, you can do that. If you want to buy one online, you can do this with virtually anything that you want. And it's so simple. It essentially just costs $20 to do this, aside from the motion capture solution. A lot of people don't know this. You can motion capture with VR, including the headset, because essentially it's capturing rotation and location in a 3D space. I got XSense, which is like a $7,000 suit. This data is really good. You're probably not going to get this data with anything cheaper than XSense. I would like to see if you do. This isn't the one that I exported with you guys, but even on this one I did earlier, there is some sliding. That's not the motion capture. That's just the remapper not knowing exactly where things are. So I'm just trying to think of any other issues, because there's just so many potential things that could go wrong in this process. And I want to make sure that I cover it a lot in this video, so if you guys give me just a second. So a lot of this is really from trial and error, and also the guy teaching me exactly what to do. If you get this error where a character is their pelvis is flying out from the rest of their body, like their legs might be working or one leg is working, or you just need to reset this animation here, reset our rig, not the motion capture file. What you can do is go to the timeline, press Shift F12, go down to here to Dope Sheet Action Editor. You'll see Demo. You just want to cancel that out, and that should reset things. And then of course you need to press A. You just want to make sure you select the rig you're trying to return to its default position. You want to press Alt G, Alt R, Alt S to reset all transforms. So what this would be useful for is if you accidentally, and didn't notice it, rotate the body a little bit this way, and now you're screwed because you're like, oh shit, I gotta re-import this thing. And that can come with its own challenges, and just a quick way to do that is what I just said there. And there's so many other issues, but if you get the Pro Edition, I think Artel will give you support. So yeah, big thanks to him. This has given many creators the possibility of creating motion capture with a real viable option. I mean, Blender's free, so it's not like Motion Builder, which is $1,500 a year. This is giving you essentially $1,500 a year worth of stuff for just a one payment of $20 or $40. I would go with the 40, honestly, but if you're really strapped for cash. But yeah, I mean, you'll get really good data. So if you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. If y'all want to know how to do this with other models, or need, like, want to just go over anything, just let me know, and I'll try my best to help out, share what I know. All right, cool. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.